troops had to maintain readiness for battle. Of course, Darius had superior numbers, plenty of solid cavalry, and suitable terrain, but his army could do nothing but wait for the Macedonians to make the first move, as storming the ridge was not a viable option. The sun slowly set on the horizon, while Alexander discussed the upcoming battle with his officers. It is said that his second-in-command, Parmenion, advised a night attack in order to catch the Persians off guard, but Alexander turned down this idea as too risky. The Macedonian command then agreed to attack the next day in the morning. The night passed by, and the first sun rays lit up the battlefield. It was the 1st of October. The Persian army was already in battle formations, as they spent the whole night waiting for the Macedonian attack, which never came. Darius efficiently used the manpower of his vast empire. Up to 100,000 men were gathered to fight for their king. 10,000 of the professional immortal infantry, together with a few thousand Greek mercenaries, formed the core of the Persian center. But the real power of Darius's army was positioned on the flanks. More than 30,000 fine cavalrymen from various Persian satrapies posed a serious threat, especially on such a wide and level battlefield. Darius also had a few hundred Indian scythe chariots and even 15 elephants, though these animals probably didn't take part in the battle. The rest of his army was formed by various infantry units gathered from tribes inhabiting the Achaemenid Empire, though their battle potential was questionable. Due to the size of the Persian army, the command was split between Darius and his trusted generals, Mazias and Bessus. We could spend another 5 minutes discussing the exact positions of Bactrian cavalry or Parthian infantry in the Persian battle line, but as in battle, time is of the essence, and at this point the sun was near noon. Oversleeping Alexander finally awoke, and the refreshed Macedonian army abandoned the hill and began their deployment. 40,000 infantrymen and a 7,000-strong cavalry detachment formed a slanted battle line, with the right flank facing the front of the Persian center. To avoid possible encirclement, both flanks were sufficiently reinforced and slightly curved backwards. The Macedonian center was occupied by a disciplined Sarissa phalanx, supported by solid Hypaspist units. Cavalry was split between both flanks, Thessalian units on the left and companion cavalry on the right. The second line was occupied by Thracian and Illyrian infantry. Just like in previous battles, the command was split between Alexander and Parmenion. To achieve a flanking advantage, the Macedonian king started to move his line right, but Darius immediately countered by stretching his left flank and matched the opponent's movement. Darius had the battlefield leveled and cleared off any obstacles for more effective chariot use, which is why he wanted to prevent the Macedonians from leaving the prepared ground. Persian cavalry moved out and attacked Alexander's far right. Fierce fighting began with no clear winner, but as time passed, Macedonian cavalry prevailed and routed some of the Persian units, though suffering serious damage. Seeing the trouble on his left, Darius sent all his chariots to storm the Greek center. Yet this attack wasn't particularly successful, as defenders opened their ranks and allowed attackers to ride through the line, raining javelins on them at the same time. Following the chariots, the Persians' right flank, led by Mazias, stormed Parmenion's side, killing many Greeks in the process and forcing the Macedonian commander to give ground. Parmenion was in serious trouble, being outnumbered and partially enveloped. But it wasn't the first time he was forced to fight at unfavorable odds. His flank fought bravely, and somehow endured the Persian push, though at a high cost. It was at this point that Darius noticed that Alexander was moving his flank to the right, while Parmenion stayed on the left, creating a gap in the Macedonian center. The Persian king saw this as a weak point and impulsively sent his immortal units to exploit the opening. But this was bait. Doing so exposed Darius's own center. Alexander had waited for such an opportunity. He swiftly moved companion cavalry supported by the remaining units of his flank and struck the Persian center, right where Darius's exposed royal guard stood. Despite the support of the second-line units, the impetus of the Macedonian charge quickly broke the Persian line. Soon, Darius realized the danger, and just as he did 2 years earlier, fled the battlefield. Alexander began pursuit immediately, but soon overturned his temptation and rode back to relieve Parmenions' flank. Fierce combat still raged on the Macedonian left. When rescue finally came, the remaining Persian forces were soon overwhelmed and routed. Although Darius managed to escape yet again, complicating Alexander's political plans to crown himself as the king of Persia, the military power of the Achaemenid Empire was crippled. Macedonians had the core cities of Mesopotamia and Persia at their fingertips. After the brilliant show of his strategic and tactical prowess near Gaugamela, Alexander effectively ended the hegemony of the powerful Persian Empire in less than 5 years. But its subjugation didn't satiate his lust for power, and his story is yet to be continued.